1st, 2026 meeting of the Concord Board of Education. Ms. Boucher, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Dubois.
Here.
Ms. Hastings.
Here.
Ms. Higgins.
Here.
Ms. Meeker.
Here.
Ms. Minot.
Here.
Ms. Sadowski.
Here.
Ms. Walsh.
Here.
And I'm here. We have a quorum.
Next item is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Boucher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Is there any discussion? I believe we have a leave of absence request that I will add as 14D. Anything else? If not, all those in favor of the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of the Sustainability Committee meeting of March 5th, the regular monthly meeting of May 4th. That's a lot of M's in that one. Communications and Policy Committee of May 11th, Instructional of May 13th, Executive Committee of May 18th. Can I have a motion to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Discussion, amendments?
Could I ask that the instructional committee be pulled from consent agenda for editing?
Yes. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Moved by Ms. Hastings, seconded by Ms. Sadowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We've removed the instructional committee amendments. Anything further? All those in favor of the consent agenda as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. We have two schools with us tonight, I think because of a snow day. We have the high school and the middle school. But before we do that, Concord is very blessed that we have two student representatives who serve on our board, and one of them is graduating and leaving
Erin. So I've had the great pleasure of working with Erin for 4 years at Concord High School. She has been a force at Concord High School. She has been an active, influential member of our school community, participating in chamber singers, indoor track, racial equity club, restorative practices leadership, National Honor Society, and among many other activities. In addition, her involvement has required her to take an accelerated course of studies, AP courses, rigorous internships, extended learning opportunities that go far beyond the requirements of courses, and all of this to lead to her ultimate goal of going off, studying at a 4-year institution. Erin will be attending Millbury College next year, where she'll study Arabic and chemistry.
Yeah.
Now she'll continue to thrive there for no doubt in our mind. For the past 2 years, though, we've been blessed to have her here working with us as a student representative to the school board, where she ensured the student's voice was heard at this table around major discussions for our district. So thank you, Erin, for your maturity, your commitment to our district, your commitment to your fellow students, and making a lasting impression on the Concord School District. We are proud of your accomplishments. We're sad to say goodbye, but excited to hear what happens in the future for you.
Yay!
Does that mean she gets to skip out early?
No, she's got to stay for the meeting. I'm going to invite up Runlet Middle School for their presentation. If there are, do you have students with you this evening? No, okay.
We had planned, but they're not, haven't shown up. So.
Yay, middle school. The weather's warm. We don't want to be here.
Thank you. All right, good evening. I'm Jay Richard, Runlet Middle School principal. Just a little bit of background. About a year ago, Fern Seiden and I were just looking at the other opportunities that we can bring a program into our school that we felt confident would make a difference for some of our students. We visited the Manchester Middle School, where they had the Y-Stay program, which is, of course, affiliated with the YMCA. right here in Concord. So I said, you know, what a great opportunity to go learn about this program, make some community connections. We visited the program. We were impressed with it. Fern did a marvelous job trying to figure out, you know, what would the funding look like to bring this program. Happened pretty fast, and here they are. So we're just completed year one. A year ago, again, I visited the Y-Stay promotion type ceremony. You know, as a proud moment about a week ago, Fern and I went. We saw, you know, some of our own students progress 8th grade and moving on to the high school. So I'm very proud of the work that we've done. Again, keep in mind, it's only year one, so as we talk about, it's only going to get better. With that, I'm going to introduce you to Scott Geyer, who is our Y-State teacher at Runlet Middle School, and Bree Hess, who is the Y-State coordinator for Manchester and Concord. Is there anyone else, too? Just
That's it.
That's it. So welcome. They're going to share what the program looks like. And I think someone...
Miss Hastings just like, oh my
I was
God,
just
it's a
going to
former
say,
student.
yes. Scott talked about it a little bit today with me, so maybe I'll share some with you privately
We
after.
never recognized you in a million years. You've changed a lot since 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
He was bragging about you today, Brenda, about how you made a difference for him, so that's actually something special, so
That's very
thank you.
nice.
Wonderful. Is this okay, or do I need to speak a little closer?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Well, thank you. My name is Bree Hess. I'm the Y-State Program Director. We work out of the Granite YMCA. I'm based out of the Manchester office and support up here in Concord. The Y really loves acronyms, so Y-State stands for Support, Tutor, and Adventure for Youth. We have a little slideshow. I'll zip through a little bit of it, give you my 5-minute elevator speech of it the best I can. But Y-Stay, we're ongoing collaboration between YMCA Downtown Manchester and Manchester School District since 1987. Next year will be 40 years in collaboration in newly Concord School District. Y-Stay stands for Support, Tutor, and Vendor for Youth. It takes place during the school day, and Y-Stay teachers have a roster of roughly 20 to 25 students that they see either every day or every other day, depending on the school schedule, for a full class period. So just like in exploratory or in a unified arts class, my team is fully embedded into the schools, and they work with their students every day built into their schedule. The goal of Y-Stay is to provide small group setting with a trusted adult role model. Students are identified by the school, guidance counselors, admin, and support staff as young people in need of additional protective factors in their daily lives. The who of the program is honestly the hardest question in my career to ever answer, because there's never a cookie cutter mold for who could use this service. But in any given class, we have kiddos that are falling through the cracks and are not already receiving additional services within the schools, or they could and could use additional services. It provides academic support, rotating social-emotional learning curriculum, life skills, discussion, and project-based learning. Participation is voluntary, and it does require a commitment from both the students and the parents, guardians. But the biggest part of any kid that's in our program is that they have the desire to improve or accept the help that we can provide them in our program. A couple words from students, because they truly say it best to capture what Y-Stay is. One says, Y-Stay is a program that finds a leader in someone and tries to help people get better grades and to be a better person. It's a place where you're welcome and can express yourself without judgment. And one other kiddo said, if I had not joined Y-Stay, IDK if I would have been able to make family and teachers proud of my growth.
Do you want to translate the text talk?
I don't know.
I don't know. just yeah, for the record.
Just in case. Our overall goals of the program, we're really aiming towards increasing graduation rate, lowering overall conduct incidents, increasing attendance and grades, providing a trusted adult to all Y-Stay students into the school community, and creating a safe space for students. We'll often say, right, if you look at our numbers, 20 to 25 kiddos per caseload in a school the size as Runlet is not a large impact, but I will say, and we'll see kind of throughout the next few slides, we have a large impact within the schools. We are seen as any other staff member within the school. It's kind of hard unless we have our Y gear or swag or name tags on. It's hard to differ us between. We're embedded within the school community. We're doing the staff student basketball games. We're doing some school duties. We're running lunch groups and things like that. So we really do cast a broader net where we have our quote-unquote adopted state students where they're coming in for maybe they need a daily snack and a high five too, in addition to just passing by in the hallway for a smiley face. This is just a glance at some of our monthly curriculum that we rotate through. We're always starting off our year with team building, how to student, talking about healthy relationships, anger management, a large bit on mental health, harm reduction, substance misuse, and social media and the laws about that and safety on there. A quick glance at our day to kind of see how we're kind of fit in. At Runlet, we the block scheduling was a new beast that we don't do in Manchester, so that was fun. But we have our kiddos for that 75-minute period every other day, where they're going to get one academic day where we are doing their hands-on SEL lessons, and then homework time at the end of the day, at the end of class time. When you think about middle school, you don't have study hall. When you bump up to high school, you're going to be thrown into a study hall, and you got to know exactly what to do to get your grades up. We're going to teach them those study skills. We're going to work with them on getting their grades up, how to email their teacher, and being fully embedded into the school. They're going to be able to know, if Scott's my state teacher, hey, I know Bree's failing. I'm going to go connect with Bree's math teacher, so I know how we can best support them to raise that student up. A couple of our other duties, as we said, we're embedded throughout the school. Scott is wonderful, and we're able to do breakfast duty. I love the nods. Breakfast duty, where we check in with our students kind of when we first get there, or when the kiddos first get there. Hey, how was your weekend? How was your day? How was that concert you had last night? We're also roaming around lunch and breakfast and lunch duty, supporting students for behavioral needs, providing breaks with academic plans, checking in during WIN, and end of duty. He's also very involved with the sports at Runlet, which again casts a broader net to be able to support more students. Our methods of the program, we're social emotional learning at our core. We're the why. We're very big on incentives. Students earn a daily grade in our class based on how well they're exhibiting the YMCA core values. They can redeem those points in our Stay Store, where they can get all the fidgets and ramen and Takis they want for some instant gratification, or they can do a little financial literacy, save up some points, and maybe get some homemade cookies if they want to earn up some points. We also take them on adventure field trips monthly. If students are passing all of their classes, minimal or zero conduct write-ups, and in school at least 75% of the time, we'll invite them on our YMCA field trips, where we'll pull all of our state classes together, and we'll go places like rock climbing and ice skating, snow tubing, to create more of a community, right? It's always a little weird when you run into your teacher maybe at the grocery store, but now we're gonna go ice skating together, probably fall a few times, and it's gonna be a little easier when I have to have a harder conversation with you in that classroom. We're providing the positive adult role model, and we're also providing that academic support within the classrooms. Incentives, how they work, we kind of went over the Stay Store and the field trips. In addition to all of our other incentives, we give out free YMCA memberships to all of our kiddos until they turn 18 years old. We really want to do that full, well-rounded approach at our kiddos. So we're helping you in the classrooms. Now we want to see you in the basketball courts, and we want to see you working out in that gym to also give you a safe space after school. Our venture trips, right, they do have purpose more than just fun. What we're working on with them, right, if we're going rock climbing, we're going to work on trust and communication. When we're going snow tubing, we're going to work on confidence and some bravery, pulling our Y core values. Our holiday party, even at the YMCA, right, we're jumping on the trampoline into the foam pit because you got to work on some trust and some team building as well. We were able to pull data from our students for Q3 at Runlet. Whenever we're pulling data, we're looking at past and current quarter to see if students improved or stayed the same. The big categories we're looking at are academics, attendance, behavior write-ups, and suspensions. If you see on here in the middle column, 50% of our students improved or stayed the same from this year, Q3 to last year in academics. And I checked those numbers about 700 times. Attendance, behavior write-ups, and suspensions were all the same. 72% of our kiddos either improved or stayed the same, with either increasing their attendance or lowering their behavior write-ups. When surveying our kiddos, 90% of Runlet students have reported that they've identified at least one positive adult role model they can go to when they need to, and 81% of our kids reported that they either sometimes, always, or always know when to walk away from a situation or when to ask that trusted adult for support. The sustainability, we have all the costs. If you're a number person, we can crunch that out. And if you want to add another teacher to our program, it doesn't double it, just adds a little more cost to it. But for long-term sustainability, partnering with the school district, being a Y, there's some grants that we can apply for. Being a school district, there's ones that you can, and our grant writers collaborate together. They do already, in order to sustain the program for years to come. And then a few more words. We reached out to our families of Why Stay, and they said Why Stay has a positive influences and helps him grow with his maturity, and it has helped him to keep more accountable with getting work done and be better behaviors and choices at school. Mind you, this is a school day program. We're not teaching any of these lessons at home, so for parents to be able to say that, not necessarily know what we're teaching the kiddos in class unless they're having those conversations at home, they're seeing it kind of right in action at home, which is awesome. A couple of students said, YSA has impacted me because it's shown me improvements and it's helped me a lot through my work. I usually don't complete my work in class because I easily get distracted. This class has helped me stay on task and get most of my unfinished work done. And I feel like YSA hasn't just impacted me, but the people in my life, people in YSA as well. I know that it will keep impacting kids as we're going to get this program even more after I leave Runlet. That's all I got. Thank you, and I'd love any questions you have.
That was amazing. You got a lot of words in.
Thank you.
I think I can pack a lot of words in.
It's my second time doing it today.
No, I get it. No, but
Thank you.
and then just a word about your partner here. Having also known him since he was knee-high to a grasshopper. Great person to be around kids. So I just know at that age, middle school, I started my teaching career in middle school. It's such a tricky time. And all of this stuff is exactly what needs to happen without being forced. It has to become organic.
Yeah.
And programs like this just seem to do that. So.
Thank you. And we're very lucky to have Mr. Geyer with us.
Ms. Boucher? This is the first year at Runlet, correct?
Yes, yep.
And so will the school board receive the data for the full year?
I would love to share it along to anybody I can.
Yeah.
And how long has this program been operating?
So 39 years in Manchester. Next year will be 40 years in some capacity. It started off as a dropout prevention program where we were kind of vice versa. We had kids coming to the YMCA, school teachers coming there and teaching kids, and it's evolved over time. And so we're going into our 40th year in Manchester. There we're in the 4 middle schools. We're in 1 of the 3 high schools. We're in 1 elementary school. And now we're here in Concord. So we're expanding a lot over the years, but we're very happy to be here and a really successful first year here in Runlet.
Great, thank you. And so your time in Manchester, what were some of the challenges that you found? May not be school specific, but that might apply here, changes you've made.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say as we have had a long standing in Manchester, we definitely went into this not copy and paste because it won't be successful that way. And so we have been able to tweak a little bit of our curriculum, I would say. Our students are really engaged in our classes, and so we kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive with our curriculum, so it take a little longer than a month, I would say, for that aspect. And then some of the challenges, I would say a lot of it is parent involvement. Sometimes whether it's just simply getting our registration packets back or just our withstand of how much we can actually support. And I would say maybe for myself, I've been in this role for the last 7 years, a teacher and stepping into director. In Manchester, I'm very familiar with knowing if a family needs something, what I can dish out and who I can connect them with. Concord, I'm just still learning. And so I'm happy to learn all those resources. But Scott, I mean, he's a book of knowledge himself, right, with the Concord resources. And so I think that's just really starting, not necessarily a challenge for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it intentionally just 7th and 8th grade focus, or is it a capacity restriction that made it so you didn't include 6th grade? Because I know the transition from elementary to middle school can be really challenging for some 6th graders, so it seems like a program that might be helpful for 6th graders.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say we've always done 7th, 8th grade. If we were to add another state teacher, I think it would make sense to do 6th grade as well. Not that we can't. It would be probably adding one more so that we can make sure that we have quality programming rather than adding on another caseload of kiddos to one state teacher. But absolutely.
Other questions? Great. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Gallo, are you introducing our high school students? No, Mr. Crowther is, all right.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to come tonight and present. Kind of transitions nicely off of Runlet as we're here to talk about our Concord High School 9th grade orientation. This is a program that has evolved over the past 6 years to the point of where our opening school days are no longer freshmen only than everybody else. This program has grown exponentially, and it does not operate without the student leaders I have with me tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to let them take over. Come on up, Wad, Sophie, Molly, Drayden, and Isabel.
Can you come on microphone?
Thank you for having us. My name is Molly Finney, and this past year was my first year as an orientation leader.
My name is Isabel, and this is my first year being an orientation leader, or last year was, and I'm in 11th grade.
My name is Drayden. This is my third year being an orientation leader. When I was a freshman, I did this program. Yeah.
My name is Sophie, and this summer was my first year doing it, and I'm a junior this year.
My name is Wad. This is my second year doing orientation, and I am a junior.
Okay, so usually we have about 65 orientation leaders signed up to do it over the summer. This year we actually have 112 leaders, which is very exciting. Personally, I was only signed up to do 1 week last year, but ended up liking it so much that I came back for the second week. We also all attended it as 9th graders and really enjoyed it, so that made it easy for us to make the decision to come back as leaders. 85% of 9th graders attend their orientation. They get to know the school and they get to know new people while also getting a quarter credit for attending all 4 days.
What we do at orientation, so we do a lot of fun activities for orientation. We'll do tie-dye, cooking. The kids love cooking. We also do tours of the schools, and usually they get their schedules on the last day, and when they get their schedules, also in the same 30-minute block, we'll tour the school, but like also go to their classes and have them find their classes. So when they get up to the high school, it's much easier for them to find their classes, and they know the school a little bit well, to know which building that they're in, to know if they're in the east building or in the west building, and it also helps them figure out which floor that they're on, because I know when I was a freshman, it was definitely very confusing on which floor I was on. But it definitely, the activities definitely make it more fun for the kids, because I know that a lot of the kids have a lot of fun doing activities instead of just touring a school or like doing questions or like stuff like that. So I feel like the activities just get them more into it, and it helps build the bond with their peers that they weren't usually comfortable with, because you just get put into a group with kids that you're not really familiar with. So the activities help you build a bond with the peers that you're not really comfortable with, or like, sorry.
One of the activities.
We say crimson, you say tide. Crimson tide, crimson tide. We show up with Concord pride. Concord pride, Concord pride.
Some things that we do to prepare for orientation is that we have certain times for orientation leaders to get together and have a training day. And we have different training times, but normally after our training, we would get a certificate. And the separate times that we have for the training is that we have times for the new leaders and then the returning leaders who are coming back for orientation. And some things that we cannot have during orientation is that we can't have someone that isn't willing to break the ice. We need leaders who are willing to make a conversation, so we can make sure that the kids that are coming in feel comfortable, that they can talk to someone, and it's not just awkwardness in the environment. It's really good for us to help and like see everyone, because it helps us know what we're gonna do. And during our training times, we have activities to break we have teamwork, communication, and like building a bond so that we're comfortable and we're not just gonna sit there and like just show them everything that we are getting done in the activities, but making conversations, getting to know how they're feeling and stuff like that. And as orientation leaders, we also get to have a say, because for example, we had a field trip that we didn't really enjoy, so we got to tell Ms. Chalaskis, and then we changed the plan to an activity that we really like to do this summer. So that's some things that we do to prepare.
What was the field trip?
Yeah, Jada, you go.
Okay. The field trip, it was going. I don't really need the mic. I'll just say it out loud.
Actually, you do, because it's being recorded.
Oh, it does?
Concord
Okay,
TV.
sorry. The field trip, we went to a community college, and they gave us a tour and it was kind of like an ad, I guess. But yeah, it was just
This wasn't really fun. Not like no.
yeah. And the field trip, I feel like it wasn't like really fun for the kids, and also we didn't have enough spots on the bus, so orientation leaders couldn't come. So it was just students and teachers, which is what they're going to be doing for the next whole. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what we do as orientation leaders, we always begin by being good role models. This doesn't really apply for like these coming years, but previously when we were allowed to have phones, it was like a very like thing that you couldn't use your phone as an orientation leader. And we tried to do that so that students could understand that you can't use your phone and like it's not a normal thing. But it's not much of a problem anymore because law. But we try to focus on like the positives of high school instead of the negatives, and it really like makes students more comfortable and like not as like scared, and we like to encourage like them to be excited about high school and that it's something new and not to fear it because it's not actually that scary. And another important thing, as Sophie mentioned, we have to like break the ice, and it's really hard for students to like connect with one another if you're just looking at each other awkwardly across the table. Like not many students know each other, and it's especially hard because some Concord children are meeting like the Deerfield kids, and they don't really know each other yet. And so it's like a gap that we have to, leaders have to step in and break the ice between them. And that follows my next point. We have to connect the ninth graders and allow them to socialize. And we do a lot of like introducing about like high school and how things work during lunch and getting the students familiar with the school. And we do, again, a lot of tour guides throughout the week. So what we actually do at orientation, we have themes that like they're for like the school's like to demonstrate the school spirit. So we'll have things like the leaders will encourage students to dress up like tropical, or like we have like exotic hat day, and we have like color day, and it's really fun. Lots of students get involved, and it shows them like how we have the like days of the week where we like dress up fun. And then, so instead of the field trip, what we introduced this year was the freshman gauntlet. So you would be so you begin the orientation off as a group, and your group would then continue on to compete against the other groups in like events. I think we had a race where you all had to be like tied together, and that was really fun. And then we did a bunch of relays. I don't remember what else we did. We did a talent show, and do you guys remember?
I think that was like
Yeah, I think that's
talent show. The talent show.
Yeah, that was a big one. That was really fun for students.
Yeah.
And we also like pass information, and like the orientation leaders will again help the students get familiar with like the school culture and like social events and what cheers we did. As you saw before, we taught them some Concord cheers at like games that you'll see.
So we want students to, like, when they get to Concord High, we want them to like actually feel like they're in high school and not in middle school anymore, such as like seeing students in the hallways, and seeing us as students when we get to school and not as like leaders. We want them to see us as students too, and like as their peers. And we want them to be excited to see us and ask questions. And because like when I was a freshman, the school looked massive, and I was trying to find my classes. I was asking people, but some students might not like be able to speak to new people like I can. So they might feel like nervous. So like having someone, yeah.
What this achieves for us as leaders is that it helps us feel good about the school, and like it helps us know that we're teaching others and the peers that are coming up about why Concord High School is such a great place. And it also helps us see it that way, not just let them know that it's a great place. It shows us why it's a great place. And it also helps us be active members in the school community by showing them around where their classes are, just getting together as a community and hanging out, having fun, being friends, basically. And it's a great way to meet new people and get comfortable with the new students who are coming up. And it also helps them feel comfortable so when they are coming in and they're not too scared to ask if they get lost. Because I know during my freshman year, I got lost and I actually met Erin that time. And she's the one that showed me around, which was really nice. So I hope more people are willing to like ask around because they're more comfortable. And it also helps when we interact with them, it helps us become more comfortable with the freshmen and not just like awkward around them when we're walking around the school year. Like we get to know familiar faces and it helps them be more comfortable in the school year.
So what we hope for this summer and beyond that is how like we have some seniors that participate, and we were wondering like how can we, after we graduate, like how do we want to participate? And we have current alumni, Pascal and Augustine. Pascal was the one in the yellow in the video before, but like we were trying to figure out how that would work. And we have like a lunch now, but like it's mostly snacks, and we wanted to like figure out how to like incorporate that more.
Getting alumni more connected? Incorporating the alumni more?
Food.
And getting better lunch.
Yes.
Both
Yes.
graduates connected and more food. Those are two areas.
Excellent. I see. You're thinking right.
With the hopes for next year, we hope to add new activities. Some of the ones that we thought of were like some things at Memorial Field, and if not Memorial Field, we'll probably go to White's as there's construction at Memorial Field. But some have to do some are at the school, like painting the ceiling tiles. I know a lot of kids love painting ceiling tiles. And I think that just more activities would bring the kids together more. And I think that the activities, like as one, makes orientation, because it's like you're meeting new people and then it's getting you ready for high school, and activities just set you up for what high school's somewhat gonna be like.
Like freshman orientation is meant to be really fun, but we want the students to remember that after freshman orientation, you actually have to go to school and do work and get your grades up. For example, me, I didn't do that, and I had to face some consequences with that. But now I get to tell freshmen that take your freshman year seriously and have fun and do whatever, but make sure you take class seriously. So that's one of my goals for freshman orientation.
So that's our presentation on freshman orientation. Just a quick shout out to Drayden. He is a senior. He will be ending his high school career this Friday with glasses, and he still came out on a Monday night to show off for this presentation about how important orientation was for him, and how it kind of brings this new growth of leadership. And can't emphasize enough, we have 112 students signed up to come in for the 2 weeks in July for the incoming freshman class.
What are the dates of orientation?
The week of the 23rd and the week of the 30th. So it's almost a 2-to-1 ratio if every orientation leader stays.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Hastings has a question. Oh, you're not done.
Yeah, sorry, just a quick question. First, I want to thank you for your honesty and how important that is. You are a great ambassador because we can all make mistakes and we can all overcome them. And having somebody that has worked through that and come out on the positive side of that could not be more important. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Second, I'm wondering, what is the biggest concern that you hear from new students when they're at what are they most worried about when they're getting ready to come to Concord High?
I think that they are most worried about not knowing what house or like where they're gonna go, what building they're gonna go. So that's why it's really good to have an activity for the schedule day, where we can just show them exactly where everyone's class is. So when they come, they just know what side of the building they basically are. And I think that's the most, like the biggest concern I had over the summer with the new freshmen. They were just really scared not knowing where to go.
A lot of them have questions about their teachers, and they get very nervous to meet new teachers. And so, like, we have like a Q&A, I think, that we're incorporating, and so they can ask us questions. And obviously, the opinions are going to differ between students, but you know, it gives them like a general basis of the teachers, and that's what their main concern is.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Meeker?
Yeah, I cannot thank you enough, truly. Like, we had just went through a pretty tough budget process season this year, and during part of those conversations, we were hearing a lot from people who had had less than ideal experiences as students at the school, and you know, saying they felt lost, they felt maybe they lacked connection. So what you guys are doing straight out of the gate is not only great for those kids, it's great for the district, it's great for everybody. I truly cannot thank you enough. And Steve's here.
Ms. Higgins?
The other thing that resonates with me, and I find this in any recreational activities I organize, is kids will listen to big kids 9,000 times more than they'll listen to an adult. I could say the same thing as you, and I'm I'm just that adult. It doesn't mean I'm wrong, but kids, they look at you as heroes, and like, you know, the big kids and the upperclassmen, and all they see is what they want to be. And so when you share your story, or you explain where their classroom is, or you tell them how great this teacher is, or you tell them to watch out for that one, right? They're just going to believe you. And this is what I love the most about student-led initiatives and programs, is the validity of your words is far more impactful than anything I have to say, or any of us really. So, thank you. It's really, really important.
Anyone else? Well, Mr.
Yes. So, what degree, if any, of adult involvement does the program have? It obviously seems mainly students for students, but
There's always just one teacher in each group just to monitor and to watch, to do attendance. They kind of just make sure they're not doing anything they're not supposed to be, but usually it's the kids that lead it. Like, they lead the groups out, they tell the kids where to go next. We have the schedules, the teacher has their own schedule in case a kid forgets their schedule. But we have the schedule, so when we need to go somewhere else, we'll flip the schedule and we'll head there. And we also let them know what time they need to go to their schedule. So the teachers are kind of just there to monitor and to make sure that we don't do anything bad.
Well, thank you all very much for coming in, especially, you know, as you're so close to the end. Thank you all very much. You are very welcome to stay, but I would totally understand if you just want to go. That holds true for our folks from the Y. You're welcome to stay or go.
the mascot forever.
It's not on any official thing.
It's been tidy forever. I was tidy a couple times.
Keeping with our student theme, it is time for our student report and our final report from Erin. But not from Clementine.
Oh my gosh. This is like surreal. Like, oh my God. Okay. So I'm starting off first today. Well, I'll just wait. It's okay, I can wait patiently. All right, hello. It's great to see everyone again. Mr. Herbert kind of stole it from me, but it's okay. I'm not taking it personal. So sadly for Erin, it's her last board meeting, but her effort and impact will always be recognized. Being a part of the school board has allowed me to take part in the decision-making process and has opened my eyes to the wonderful community here in Concord, specifically how everyone plays a role in the wonderful community here. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm delighted to continue fulfilling this role this upcoming fall. Still, this opportunity is because of Erin, and I couldn't be more grateful for her decision. Okay.
I'm not crying.
Speaking for the rest of us, I want to say thank you so much for your dedication and efforts in ensuring student voices are heard and included in the conversation. Middlebury is so fortunate to have you this upcoming fall. Don't touch me.
Okay, thank you, Clem. Don't cry. You're gonna see me a lot this summer, it's fine. Okay, before I go on and express my gratitude for being on the school board, here are some updates. It's mainly senior focused because it's the last week and also graduation's coming up. So some fun senior events that are gonna be happening is tomorrow we have commitment day where all the seniors are gonna be wearing shirts symbolizing or showing what college they're going to or what their after high school plans are. And then we will also have a senior assembly in the auditorium and also senior walkout this Friday on our last day of school. And then for next week, we'll have 2 graduation practice ceremonies. And I want to give a big shout out to Miss Lamb for doing a wonderful job with helping out me and the other people who are speaking at graduation and just helping plan the entire thing. And then on June 11th, we will have our senior boat trip to Mount Washington. And then lastly, we'll have our graduation on June 13th. Yay.
At NHTI this year, which is a little sad,
but it's okay.
But also so everyone knows where to go.
Yeah, true. Okay. I just wanted to thank everyone for giving me a place where I can use my voice and speak for the kids here in Concord School District, and especially for those underrepresented in our community. You have all been wonderful, and I know that Clem will do a wonderful job in choosing the next student representative who will take over for me. Being a student representative have given me a lot of experience and opportunities, which has helped me get into my top school. But as Mr. Herbert and Clem said before, I like to speak up for kids in my community. So for my last meeting, I would like to talk about something important, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to talk about GPAs. So fortunately, I've been very lucky to get into my top school, but I can't really say the same for other kids who are just as intellectual or possibly even more intelligent than I am. And I know that CHS does not do weighted GPAs compared to other schools, but I believe there's some sort of benefit to students having weighted GPAs here, especially those who take a plethora of AP classes. With that being said, having weighted GPAs will make class rank and also class deciles for students more fair. Our class rank / class decile is based off of our unweighted GPAs, and admissions officers have to look through a ton of applications during application season, and they'll have to look through class deciles. And they won't be able to figure out what our class deciles is by using their calculated GPAs for us, because they don't know about other students. Class rank is very important to top schools, which a lot of my friends applied to and unfortunately didn't really get in, even though they're more than capable of. And because of this, I think it would make it more fair for the students who have worked hard in these AP classes to have possibly a grade boost for having a weighted GPA, because AP classes by design move at a faster pace and also delve deeper into more material. I could really feel that this year, especially with taking really hard AP classes, AP Chem. Man, that was really hard. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like a personal issue that I had was like with merit scholarships this year. Even though Middlebury has given me a lot of financial aid, I didn't receive as much like merit scholarship that I thought I would compared to other students who had like similar unweighted GPAs. And like we had very similar unweighted GPAs and similar AP classes, but their schools were able to weight their GPAs, and so they were able to get more merit scholarship in comparison. So once again, like I know this is like a huge suggestion, but like this has been like a huge topic like in my class specifically for like the past like 4 years. And like I'm here to speak for the students at Concord High. And if you could please take this into consideration, it would be greatly appreciated not only from the students but also from the parents as well.
So Erin, thank you very much. You
Yeah.
have always been, I've always admired your willingness to tell us when we're doing it wrong. And I think that's very important. I hope Clem will continue that. So I am going to refer this to the instructional committee to take a look.
Thank you.
The first time it's been talked about, so maybe we can dig in a little deeper.
I think
I graduated 100 years ago, and it was a problem then.
Yeah, I think like there's like some kids that I know that like there was this one kid, oh my gosh, bless his heart. But like he's so smart, like he had such a good SAT score, like cream of the crop, right? He was rejected from so many he didn't get into a singular like top school. He only got into his safeties, and like nobody expected this at all. But he's taken some of the hardest classes like at CHS, and it's because his class decile was just like lower than what like top schools wanted. Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Now we will go to the superintendent report.
All right. The month of May has been one that's been riddled with a bunch of celebrations. Last Wednesday, we celebrated the 7 teachers in the district for their distinguished efforts in educating our students, and 16 staff members who are retiring. It was a great ceremony held at Abbott Downing School. Principals, colleagues shared their remarks about their fellow colleagues. And, it really is one of those bittersweet moments as we come to the year end. We're saying goodbye to people who've been here for multiple decades, and we're looking forward to see what those who are, received the award of Distinguished Educator have in store for us in the future. So that was last Wednesday. We do have a nomination for your assistant principal at the elementary level. You'll hear a little bit more about that later on, but I just wanted to share with you, we did move along in that process, and we do have a candidate to bring forward tonight. Concord High School's musical took place between May 14th and 16th. It was Dear Evan Hansen. The musical performances were outstanding, as they always are, showcasing the talent and dedication of our students and staff. In addition, though, this one had a layer because it touched on mental health. And we teamed up with NAMI as well as other area agencies to ensure that we're sharing information around mental health and supports in this area with not only just the cast, performers, any person participating in the production, but also with those in the stands. So making it really a message more than just our typical spring musical. We also had last Wednesday CHS senior scholarships. This year we awarded $172,000 in scholarships, which is up $31,000 from the previous years. So I give credit to Erin Martin. She's an art teacher at the high school. Will be art teacher at the high school and Runlet Middle School next year. But she goes after donors and really does a great job convincing them to give more and more each year. So kudos to her, and kudos to our wonderful students who received those scholarships. We had the CRTC commencement ceremony last week as well on Thursday. Again, it's a wonderful evening where you get to hear testimonies about how the experience in the CRTC class is different from the traditional class and connects the students' education is directly connected to their post-secondary plan. You got to hear about students who went above and beyond just 2 years, doing a third year, attending community college, doing extended learning opportunities, participating in internships, and walking out into jobs that will pay them a salary right out of the gate that is is reasonable. I don't want to say it's one that they can survive on in this day and age, but it's reasonable and will help them to continue to build towards their future. And many of the students that were in that ceremony also received scholarships to help them for their post-secondary plans as well. So another great, ceremony at the end of the year. Concord High had their prom last Friday, right? Grapponi Center. Based on the information I had, no incidents, so I was really excited about that. So they shifted to the Grapponi Center this past year. From our the last couple of years, we had it downtown, so this helped ensure we had adequate space, and it was safe and went off without incident. So I'm very excited about that. Concord High School graduation, as was said earlier, will take place at NHTI on Saturday, June 13th. It's set for 10 a.m. with a rain delay of 1 p.m. And then if the weather is not going to change in the afternoon, we would move it into the gymnasium at Concord High School for a 10 a.m. indoor celebration. So that's coming up. Other things that I think that may be it for now. I think other things I have on this list we'll touch later on, and we'll save it for then.
Okay, great, thank you. Communications and Policy Committee.
Yes.
We have 3 policies for first readings.
Good evening, everybody. This is just to inform you that the Communications and Policy Committee is bringing forward 3 policies on first reading tonight. The first is Policy 901 regarding whistleblowers. This policy is coming to you per a district recommendation in the process of, I believe, a grant review, grant audit. The auditors had recommended that we have a whistleblower policy in place. It just ensures that there's a process for employees to report on anything that they consider to be financial mismanagement. The next policy is Policy 542, Acceptable Technology Use. This is what we're calling a repeal and replace. The last time we updated acceptable technology use was 2004. So the language of the technology we were using in 2004 is no longer relevant. We had some CD-ROM talk in the policy. So rather than try to massage new terminology into old, we are just bringing an entirely new policy to you for your review. Pam did mention that the existing policy is not in your board book, but I'm happy to email it to you guys so that you have a side-by-side comparison. And then we also have Policy 542.1, which is the use of artificial intelligence, not aliens, robots. We have a team on the district that has been working on AI policies for about 2 years now. It's a great cross-section of staff that have given us really good input on appropriate use for AI. And they brought a very nice, clean policy to us, which we just bring to you for your review. We did have some really robust discussions about, just what AI means for a lot of us. There are some of us that are super pro, some of us super against, some of us have never touched it in our lives. But it is something that our district and our district staff and students are dealing with every day. So it is appropriate for us to have a good policy and for us to give good guidance. And with that, I turn it back over to you.
Does anyone, we are not voting on these tonight as their first reading, but does anyone have any questions or comments? I just had one question for the committee on the ethical use, Roman numeral 5.
Which policy?
Artificial intelligence, 2A. Use of artificial intelligence must be disclosed when required. And I guess the question is, was that a discussion about teachers having to require that it be disclosed, or?
Sorry, I'm just catching up.
Yep.
You're on Rome 5, 2A. Regarding core ethical principles include academic integrity.
Yeah.
Students must accurately represent their own thinking, knowledge, and effort. Use of artificial intelligence must be disclosed when required and must not misrepresent original work.
And I guess that's the when required that I'm sort of a little bit stuck on. Like, it seems like there's a loophole. If And so I'm just wondering what the
Yeah,
thinking was
and
about
thinking
that.
about the discussion, almost think the word requested is better. It was more about students presenting something as theirs that isn't.
And mine would be more like, it should be disclosed, and there
Right.
shouldn't be that clause
That
saying.
somebody has to ask. Well,
Somebody
no one
has to
asked.
ask, and
No,
that.
that's funny, but that isn't how I rememred it meaning, so that's
Okay,
a good, that's a good
but that's
question.
how it read to
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like your teacher has to say,
Yeah.
okay, let me know if you use it.
Right.
Mr. Paul?
Thank you. I think part of it is sometimes you explicitly want people to disclose that they were part of it. But then other times, we don't disclose when we do a Google search. So there might be times when the assignment, it doesn't really matter, and it's gonna depend on how the assignment is structured. So I think as we move forward, the policy's been, teachers have been waiting for the policy to help for direction. Each grade span and each subject area will probably have different acceptable practices and expectations for students. So there will be clarity. That's kind of the next step, especially the high school will be taking the lead on practices and the academic integrity piece. So that's where we would see some places that might not be required specifically, and other places it will be very explicit.
Casey, is that your hand? No. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right, these will be on the agenda for July for second reading and votes. Mr. Cashman, facilities update.
Thank you. We have some good news. Last week, we closed on the Conant Drive home. That house will serve as our project field office, but also for our weekly OAC meetings, owner, architect, contractor, weekly meetings. IT has been over there today and will continue this week hooking up internet services. I think they're going to tap into Abbott Downing and get a line of sight. We also have some security cameras for the house for the hours that we won't be there, but we're also looking at construction cameras for the project, which will be kind of neat. Progress photos that we can share on our website.
And now that it's closed, have we mowed the lawn?
We mowed the lawn at 10 a.m. the day we closed. Wait, I think Jack gave us the key at 9:45.
Thank you, Mr. Cashman.
Last Thursday, we sent out letters to the Cypress Street, the 4 northern homes on Cypress Street, and all along Springfield, because we wanted to let them know we're beginning brush removal, tree removal tomorrow. We're getting ready to install the construction fence. It'll be a 6-foot high fence that will go around the whole perimeter on the district property to just kind of enclose all the construction activities, keeping people safe. Today there was a layout engineer from Harvey, and will continue this week, staking out the footprint and just giving a good visual, so if anyone wants to take a look at it, I can show them that. I also reached out to the city engineer and I let him know that we started today on site and what our progress was going to be looking like. I do want to talk about that for a minute. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be taking the surface layer of the property and taking it down and replacing it with 3 feet of structural fill. At that time, we're going to be putting monitoring devices in so that we can see the settlement. That data will be extremely important to know how many rammed aggregate piers we're going to be putting in to stabilize that soil, because the initial test came back as liquefaction. So that will be coming up, and I'll obviously let everyone know how that process is going. Following that, we're going to be looking at footing and foundation work that will happen. That will be after the wraps get installed onto the site. Around July, August, and into September timeframe is what we would be looking at. Also, over the summer, actually over July, we're going to be looking at replacing the main water line that goes from South Street all the way through the property up to Conant Drive. That's going to be sequenced so that we'll have minimal disruption to either school. We're not going to have any activities going on at Runlet this summer, but nonetheless, we're going to do that very carefully so that we can accomplish that ahead of schedule. This coming Thursday, we have our building committee meeting, and at that meeting, will be a first pass where we can look at the what the numbers came in at from the 60% construction documents that we completed about a month ago. We'll also have a traffic engineer here to just answer any board questions that might come up about the traffic. We also have a special board meeting a week from tonight where, again, we're going to be going over value engineering, value management, just kind of showing you the numbers, but showing you areas that were consideration for either accepting, adding to as an alternate, or taking out of the project. So I think that would be a fun exercise. The construction documents, so we've talked all about the CDs being at 60%. They will be at 100% late July, early August. And then from there, just explaining the process, those documents go in and then they go out to bid. Those bids come back in the fall, and that's where we'll have the whole process where we establish a guaranteed maximum price. We'll review that with the board, and then that covers the rest of the buyout of the project. What I did want to mention tonight, and we talked a little bit beforehand, is we have the groundbreaking ceremony and the naming of the schools. So what I want to get together with Tim and others and want to suggest a date, work with the middle school and look possibly at a late June date. We'll determine that and talk over some specifics that the board might want, like special invitees, who you want at the ceremony and that sort of thing. And then also talk about the naming of the school, because I think we've received the survey information back and would like to get ready to present that to the public. Additionally, today we talked about communication and how to run communication through the project. So one of the things that I'd like to do is we have the platform of the monthly board meetings. I'd like to do this type of an update as well as the updates that we have in the board. Something that we had been talking about when we did the elementary school way back in 2010, we did a special show that started out called the Elementary School Buzz. And if some of you remember, Barb, you might have, we did updates, and then we kind of morphed it into doing live tours of the school, and we televised it. It was a good way to show progress during the project, unique aspects, insulation, windows, all kinds of stuff. So I'd like to come up with that sort of a plan, work with Concord TV, and do that on a regular basis, but also involve students. From what we saw tonight, there's a lot of talent out there, and I think that if we can get kids interested in the process and their school, I think it'll be neat, and also work with staff and others and board. So.
Thank you. You had, I believe, mentioned that you were sending letters to abutters about foundation inspections before the project began.
We did. We sent out 33 letters. The letters went out to 33 different homes. They're all within a 200-foot radius. They're vibration monitoring, so those survey letters went out to those folks, and several homes answered back that the construction firm Harvey and the monitoring firm could go do interior views of foundations and take a look at the homes from the inside and out. It's a permission letter to see if they'd be willing to do that. That way, if anything was discovered during construction or during the foundations, it would be that opportunity to see it, if it happens during construction or if there was a crack already there.
You said several out of 33. How many? And what's our follow-up plan?
Well, we have 16. We're hoping the community's very close. There's a lot of folks in the neighborhood that talk. So, we're talking about it tonight on the meeting. If you did get that letter, I would highly encourage you to respond back and see if we can make a plan to come out and look at your foundations and your basements and get that work accomplished.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr.? Okay. Instructional committee. Ms. Hastings.
Yes, we met in May and we had 3 primary conversations or discussions. One regarding class size, which we will continue to monitor, and we have discussions about reducing class size or
Reviewing the
Reviewing,
policy,
yes.
class size, looking at some research based on optimal student learning environment and conditions. And so we're posing, correct me if I'm wrong, Brenda, in this fall, picking up with a committee to really dive in deep to our policy and look at research and do a crosswalk.
We've got a few different groups going on right now with instructional, and we just got a new one. So the second one, I just wanted to mention real quickly were the devices in lower grades. We do have a committee that has met. We will continue to meet to discuss the research on that and to see what policies we may need to, or opportunities we have to make changes if we need to. And that committee is made up of administrators, teachers, and community members, parents. So it's a good group, and I think we'll make some good decisions on that and have that for you, but probably not until the fall. And the one that we really need to worry about tonight, well, not worry about, we need to vote on tonight, is the 306s with regard to counseling programs. And in your board book, you will see the presentation that was provided to the instructional committee. And I guess, and I would move that the board vote to accept the K-12 comprehensive counseling services, that they meet the expectations of the new 306s.
So we'll do all the votes after
that's right.
public comment tonight.
But I will be moving that forward.
Yeah,
so.
but do you want to speak to that a little bit now?
Well, it's just that Kim, can you help me out with this one? We have the presentation in the book. There are a lot of things that our school district is doing, have been doing. And so this really isn't any changes to what we're doing. It's just acknowledging that we do offer comprehensive counseling services for our students in many different areas.
And the 306s, for those who don't know, are the state rules around requirements for public schools.
Right.
So
But we were already doing it.
I'll bring your attention to page 23, which are our instructional committee meetings, which we are not putting forward, but under A, this is what the language from 306.30's school counseling program. No less frequently than biannually, the local school board shall approve a comprehensive and developmentally appropriate K-12 school counseling program and implementation plan for each school consistent with the requirements of this section. The school counseling program shall include a comprehensive sequence of learning opportunities designed to promote each student's development of work-study practices and academic development, career development, and personal and social development. And so this was to be done by the end of this year for the school counseling program to show that we do have a developmentally appropriate K-12 school counseling program. And this was chaired by Jody McLaughlin and Fern Seiden. And they put together a committee of other counselors, and we looked at the scope and sequence of K-12 and how the standards are followed throughout K-12. So it's for your edification, the presentation here, and you'll be seeing this come up regularly for
The
approval.
standards are listed in there as well.
Questions? It says we have to have an implementation plan for each school. Are there further, and that the board has to approve the implementation plan for each school?
I believe that the board just needs to approve the program. Well, the implementation plan is already there. We have the different programs that we have that are aligned to the standards. And I'm gonna
It's
look.
more of an acknowledgement that these things exist.
And I think we're doing what we need to do. I'm just looking at what is quoted here from the 306, and it says no less frequently than biennially, the local school board shall approve a comprehensive and developmentally appropriate K-12 school counseling program and implementation plan for each school. So I'm wondering if we don't have if we're not hitting what we're supposed to be hitting for the law.
I'm gonna turn to Fern and ask her if she can answer this question, please. We do have a plan, it just isn't included in this packet right here.
So we may have to have a further vote on it, is what I'm asking.
No, come up and explain.
Yep.
'Cause we might not. I feel like it's covered. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the standards fall into 7 areas, as you can see, and within each standard, we have a plan that is basically, there's the standards are all kind of underway already. For instance, if you take responsive services, that would be part of our, the work that we do with our suicide prevention plan, and as well as our crisis response plan in our schools. So that implementation plan is underway and in place. There's nothing new to be implemented. It's what we do, and we review it. And continue to look at different ways to make improvements. Individual student planning is something that grows over time, and we start in classrooms and move up through. So the plan itself is just based on how we hit the mark in all of those areas, and then how we continually use data to make improvements.
Ms. Sadowski?
I suspect because we're using grade level tiers, we're good on the schools, but you do raise a good point. I had assumed that because we specify 6th grade through 8th grade, folks would know that was Runlet. That's an interesting point, though.
Well, it doesn't mention each school.
I also
specifically.
read this that we would need one for Krista McCullough
Oh,
and one for
Abbott
Abbott
Downing.
Downing, one for
That's
Beaver
how I'm
Meadow,
reading
and
it.
one for-
My question is if it's the same for all the elementary schools, we just, yes, we approve it. It's sort of
Yes,
like
but we don't have it as to approve right now.
They
is
can
what
all
I'm
be the
saying.
same.
But,
We have to have
and these are standards
No,
and
that-
not an implementation plan, understanding that we're already doing a lot of this. So I just think we need to, we can approve the standards, but I think we need to go back and make sure we're doing what we need to be doing under the rules, that like
We
we're
have
actually.
a list of each school and how they're implementing this. Maybe
I
is what this is
think-
asking for.
I could be wrong, but I think the implementation plan would be for standards that are not, they're new, they're not already being met, that there's a new way that those are going to be addressed.
That's not what the
That's
rule
not what this is
says.
saying,
It says
unfortunately.
every 2 years, we have to do this. So every 2 years, we have to approve an implementation plan and a comprehensive and developmentally appropriate school counseling plan and an implementation plan for each
What
school.
we could do, and going over these standards, at the time when we were talking in the instructional committee, there were great examples of what's being done to meet these standards already. We could come up with a comprehensive document to illustrate what's going on across the grade levels in each school. And that would-
And not to make work,
Yeah,
and
no.
normally, like, the implementation plan would be something we would leave
But-
to you guys.
Yeah, but reading what's written
but what
here
the
would
state is
say
saying
that
is
you
we
have
can't
to
leave
approve
the
it.
implementation plan to you guys. So, I think we could still vote on the standards tonight, but I think we're gonna have to come back and have a vote on the.
Yep, we can, would.
Yeah, that's, we really have everything. It maybe hasn't been written and produced in a manner that looks
The
like.
state is always thinking about, like,
Yeah.
how we actually do our jobs and
Yeah.
stuff, and cares, so.
Chair, I'm wondering if it would even be sufficient if we did like a footnote in the document that stated these tiered by grade level plans are specifically for these schools. Would that be sufficient?
I don't know the answer to that, because these are standards and not an implementation plan, I think is the problem. Like, I don't.
Yes, and I.
Yeah, but you could in essence take the standards at the elementary level, this is what we're implementing K to 5. At the middle school level, this is what we're implementing 6 to 8.
But I think we would have to specifically name each school.
So you could put elementary
put a line and
each
write it in.
school, and these are the standards, you know, this is what we're implementing at each of the schools.
I guess a question I would have is, are they looking for a more detailed implementation plan? Are they asking at Broken Ground School, when is this being taught? And at Krista McCall, what is being taught and when.
Was there any guidance that came along with these standards from the Department of Education?
No, they.
No, but we work with regional, personnel, curriculum, or counseling personnel in other districts to support one another and learn what each other is doing. And that's how the 306s have gone and how we've come up with what we're doing. So, but
The greatest work we did was looking at what the counseling standards and with the counseling curriculum parts, the pieces that we really want to be following and tracking it. But the program itself, it's really should be noticed that there are 7 standards in the counseling program that don't have anything to do with like the so-called curriculum. So, and that's just one small piece of the implementation of what we're doing. There's the standard 1 and 2 is about how we're collaborating to ensure that kids learn the work-study practices. And then there's individual student planning, responsive services. Then basically number 5 is all our MTSS work to make sure we have a data-driven system. And then 6 is about consultation with parents and educators and making sure we're consulting. And 7 is following policies and procedures. All of those things are done in a standard manner across all schools. Maybe, the different people who are on a team might vary based on roles in that school. But everybody's using a data-driven decision process. All counselors are part of 504 teams, special ed teams, and meeting with parents regularly as part of student planning. We are, following policies and procedures for referrals. That's also part of. So.
And again, I'm not saying that's not what happened. I'm just.
Yeah,
we're not complying with we're not.
So if we created that in a format that. That was looked like an implementation plan.
Do we have someone at the Department of Education we can contact and ask them more specifically what they're looking for here?
I'll be honest with you, Brenda, we won't get that level of guidance. We get that level of guidance from our regional schools that are also working on this.
So we'll find out what they're doing.
So we can reach out. Yeah, we'll reach out to our colleagues in other districts and see what they put together for this. And it's going to vary from district to district. But what I can appreciate is what Pam's saying is like we should be bringing forward to the board how we're implementing these standards in our program in each of our schools that will meet the standards. And we may say at the elementary level and broken ground and state the school, this is the implementation plan and how we're meeting these standards. We may do some generalizations like that, given the 5 different elementary schools and a similar approach to meet the same standards. But I can appreciate what Pam's saying. It does specifically say implementation plan.
And we are implementing a new SEL curriculum this fall, so to have that in there.
Right. I mean, I would say it sounds like you've done an incredible amount of work. This is a compliance issue on our end. So as far as getting into the weeds to create an implementation plan, I don't think the board is necessarily asking for that so much as how do we help the district be compliant by voting on a plan that reflects the work you've already done. We have the same thing, like there's so many policies we have that are like, oh, and check on that every year, right? The bullying policy or, whatever it is, check on that every year, review that every 2 years. And this just gets on the long list of things that we now get to sign off on, not less frequently than biannually. So, I think what I'm hearing is that the work is there, and that I don't think it has to be overly complicated, and I don't think it necessarily has to follow what other districts are doing. If you guys are feeling good about what you're doing, and we'll see it and we'll vote on it.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Alad, or SAS?
Yeah. So, New Hampshire SAS testing just ended this last Friday, and so obviously that data was not ready for the instructional committee, and there is an instructional committee happening in June, so I wanted to share some preliminary results. And I'm saying that these are preliminary and they're somewhat draft because students were doing taking the SAS right up until, or doing makeups right up until last Friday. and for the board packet, this was prepared for Thursday. Might be some small changes here and there. I also want to mention that we don't have New Hampshire reports, and that the results are sequestered for a period of time so that superintendents can validate the scores, the assessment scores, and usually that comes out in the fall. So in the fall, you can anticipate seeing the comparison between like communities and the New Hampshire scores. So just as a first look, a first glance, I want to say that when I came on in 2022, the then Superintendent Murphy was very concerned about the gap between New Hampshire and Concord, and had asked for this to be a priority to try to close that gap between New Hampshire and Concord's performance, where Concord was underperforming the state. And so I feel like we have some good news to share. I'm going to start off with the science New Hampshire SAS, which is given in grades 5, 8, and 11. And you can see over time, the Concord School District represents the blue line, and New Hampshire scores represent the orange. And this year, we see an improvement, 2026, getting up to 41% proficiency. And I want to thank the educators who really put a lot of time into dissecting last year's data, and really even doing a focus at the elementary levels to be looking at missed standards, and focusing on trying to close that gap. So now we have our ELA performance, and we are very similar to last year's score, where we were at 56% proficient. Right now we're 55. Again, that number might change a little bit. I also really want to point out and acknowledge that in some cases there were educators who, I'm going to say in particular fifth grade, who were in the 80% proficiency range. So we had some incredible performance coming out of some of the classrooms and some of the buildings. But the average ends up being that 55%. But again, you can see the trajectory moving in the right direction in terms of closing that gap. In mathematics, again, grades 3 through 8 and 11, we're down a point, 43% proficient from 42%. Down to 42% from 43, but you can see the trend line going up in the right direction, and again, 2022 being 30% proficient and just moving in the right direction generally. So here what I have are our ELA scores, our math scores, and our science scores since 2022. ELA is in the purple, math is in the yellow orangish, and science is in the green. I'm glad to see the science bar is going up. Less so with math overall, that we have, we have work to do in math. And this is the SATs and science New Hampshire SAS proficiency for grade 11. So this is a little bit of a complicated chart, so I want to make sure I point out how to read it. If you go across third grade, you can see that third grade from 2023, 24, 25 to 26 went from 38% proficient up to 50% proficient. That's a good trend line. Now, if you want to follow those third graders and look at it as a cohort for ELA, you can see that they went from 38, so I'm going diagonally down, so they did in 2023, 38% proficient, and then in 2024, those same students were 47%, and then those same students in fifth grade were 58%, and this year, 51% proficient. So if you follow any of the diagonal color-coded lines down, you're following the cohort of students.
2025 was a good year.
Yeah, last year was a good year. Last year was a really good year. What I like noticing is when I go across, I'm seeing the proficiency grow, and that is, I think, related to the educators more. When you see that the educators' proficiency is likely, that's a little bit of an assumption and a leap, but you can see overall, fifth grade students are doing better than they were in 2023. When you go diagonally, you'll see some areas where there's a little bit of a dip in proficiency, but yeah. And I'm going to show you the same thing again for math. We're going to follow the chart the same way. If you go across by grade level, you can see that with the exception of sixth grade, there was a little bit of a dip at sixth grade, where last year we were at 41%, this year at 39%. But you can see that generally there is a growth statement there. And when you go down and you follow the cohort, there's also a story there to tell. So for example, third graders in 2023 were at 43% proficient, and now they are at 39% proficient. That's not the case with every cohort, but it's worth looking at and analyzing. And right now, I'm working with Chantel, our math coordinator, and Chris Demers to try to disaggregate these results a little bit further, looking at particular schools, classrooms, buildings, et cetera.
Ms. Campbell?
Yeah. It would be helpful, and I know it's not a perfect science, but to know the enrollment numbers for these grades. So like we take the SAS about the same time every year, but like what was it the same time of year for each of these grades? So we can see, because these percentages are great, but if there's a big dip in enrollment, that percentage could look a bit different. So
Yeah,
I'd love
there's
to
a
know that.
lot of work to still be done with this. We have a program that we go in called TIDE, which is the New Hampshire DOE site. And we are getting this information, like this is just hot off the press, but we'll do a lot of work with it with teachers.
Is there, I guess just to make it easier, is there a place where I can pull year over year enrollment at this time of the year? I don't know if maybe an old board book. From 2022. I want to see 2022.
We can pull that data.
Don't
yeah.
go crazy if I can pull
No,
it. I
no,
will.
no. We can run a report out of Power School. We take a little bit of.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, you're good.
I think in the past, we've also seen this data in quadrants, sort of above proficient.
Or I think that's the iReady. Yeah, so that's the iReady
Is that the
data, and
iReady?
the students are starting the iReady testing. They just started, in some cases, last Friday. So that is excellent data to look at. And they say that that's the most aligned to this New Hampshire SAS in terms of predictability, so that will be coming.
Ms. Minell and then Ms. Boucher.
I would like to hear more about the grade 11 math scores. When I saw that in our board packet, I thought that was alarming. It's obviously very different from the NHSAS math results. Is that we're not preparing our students well for the SAT? Is it representative of our grade 11 students' math proficiency?
Ms. Higgins, could we let them answer it
Just
first?
a clarification on her, I was gonna ask, okay, I'll wait. My shortened answer, is that before we switched the algebra 2 and the geometry?
We switched last year.
So these
I'm
kids-
asking about the 2026 results.
Yes, but there was an issue where we did algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2, so they would get to the SAT, and a lot of the algebra 2 they hadn't learned yet because they were juniors. So this was the last year of students that had that old layout. So now, next year's students will have algebra 2 all done, are you following me, and be in geometry, which I think will make a big difference. But yeah, that was a huge conversation around how we're delivering math instruction, because it was tanking kids on the SAT.
Go ahead.
No, I'm
sorry.
done. I just-
That's one of the elements. So by the time a junior was taking the SAT in this last year, is the last cohort who has the former model of, as Barb explained it, they have not gone through all the skills that they're going to be assessed on the SAT, and we drilled down to the actual standards that we're failing in, and it was connected right to the curriculum. We're not covering Algebra 2 by the time they take the SATs. So we did change our scope and sequence, but other factors that come into this is Madeline's supposed to take the assessment, opts out, that's a mark against us. You can't find Tim Herbert, he's been truant, can't find him, but he's enrolled at Concord High School.
If they don't take the test, they get a 0?
You get, it counts against us. So, opt-outs, you get so many opt-outs after you exceed that. Regardless, we can't force you to take the assessment. If you have parental permission to opt out, it counts against us. So there's a lot of other factors. That's not the only thing, but we do drill down to the standards and look at our curriculum. What are we doing? What aren't we doing? what about this aren't we preparing students for? And we do student focus groups around this. So there is a lot that's happened in the last couple of years that's led to some of the change in scope and sequence, led to the new program that Kim was presenting earlier, because some of it is coming down to our curriculum and our scope and sequence, and we recognize it and we're trying to fix it. Other pieces are elements that are out of our control, and then it does come down to, are we preparing students for the rigor of this assessment?
Do we know how many zeros we got?
We can get you that
That
data,
would be
yeah.
good data to have.
So removed from the.
You know, what the score would look like if it was removed,
What the
yeah.
score is for those that took it.
Yeah.
That would be helpful to know.
And I want to point out too that even the 26% and the 30%, it's not adequate. It's not acceptable. And we brought in the new iReady math program. This is the second year of implementation, K through 6, and we're moving it into grade 7 next year and aligning the math instruction from grade 8 up. So in response to these scores, we're changing some of the programming, but is it going to be the magic bullet? I don't know, but I would agree with you, it's alarming.
Can't hurt us.
Right?
Yeah, the same, at least we're trying something,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted that.
Yeah,
much
no,
more
we're in agreement. We're worried about these scores.
Ms. Boucher?
I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank Ms. Yarlett for the work that she's done since coming to the district in terms of what she was tasked to do of increasing the Concord School District line to meet the state levels. That shows a lot of the work that you did with changing the curriculum, so thank you so much for that. And then the question I had is that when you look at this data or look at data in the past and you see that classrooms have exceptional gains, how do you assess the teacher's knowledge or what their skills are, how they're teaching that might contribute to changes in other classrooms?
That's an excellent question. At the August retreat, there will always be, there always has been we call a data dive, and we are really, really transparent about the data, and we're sharing the data with schools, among schools, and classrooms. Not necessarily tied to a teacher's name, but likely the principal knows who the teachers are. And so, for example, there was a teacher who'd had exceptional scores at Kristen McAuliffe last year, and so we went to go and look at what her practices were and how she did test prep and how she actually administered the test, and then asked the other teachers to go into her classroom and see that, because sometimes it is test-taking skills. You'd like to think it's always tied to competencies, but sometimes it's that as well. And so when we do see those outliers, for example, I want to give a shout out to a 5th grade teacher at Broken Ground who she had 0% students in the red and had exceptional scores. Now she happened to pilot the new MyView curriculum and was really tracking her students really well. So we're looking into that as well. So we do like to highlight those teachers. We don't always like to say that a low classroom score is related to teachers and their instruction. I mean, sometimes you get that classroom, right? Where you have students who might need a lot of supports, but we also definitely examine and break apart best practices.
But we also, just from previous years when we've looked at this data, we have, and the iReady data, we've seen a very clear correlation between student attendance and results, and teacher attendance and results, and students who are consistently in school and consistently with their teachers perform better.
No argument there.
Looking at the migration of students in and out to the district.
Yep.
I did it when I was a principal in another district. I tracked our preschool students to grade 3, and the students that started with us that were 3rd graders taking a test was less than 50%. So imagine instructionally what happened through those years of students migrating in and out. And that has a huge effect on your results. So, it's also those move-ins. If you have 2 or 3 students move into a class of 18, there's a percentage there that make a difference and haven't been exposed to the same instructional strategies and learning that has happened with our students in the Concord School District. That has an effect as well.
When you correlate that to your point of, you see your teacher every day, your same teacher in your same desk, and you're there every day, you have a level of comfort. So if you have all that in and out, you're at a new school, oh, I did this book last year, or I never did this book, and you have, and that speaks to the day of the test and how anxious you are, and even if you know it all, if you're in a new place, you're not gonna do as well. And that's hard to track, it's hard to account for in a chart.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We'll be looking forward to further reports on this. City and Community Relations Memorial Field update.
Yep, so, the most recent minutes, sent to me or available on the website were the April 29th meeting, so I never got minutes from our meeting, so I know, our athletic director is here. It was a 2.5 hour meeting. It was a lot of conversation, a lot of circular conversation. A lot of, you said, I said, he said, she said. It was a long, difficult meeting. I was the least popular person in there, which I've come to accept as my love language. So essentially what we came to was almost identical motion that we did at our meeting, our school board meeting, when we had Mr. Loggy, and we came up with a plan to, basically made a motion to look at what needs to be done most quickly, have the city and the school, meaning Dave Gill and Mr. Loggy, work together and come up as soon as possible with a plan that met the mayor's requirements for price and address the most urgent needs first. And there was a general disagreement over option A versus option D. So that sort of came off the table a bit, and it's now being looked at more as, with this amount of money, what's the best course of action, not tying us into option A or option D, because there are just too many pros and cons for every option. It was a difficult meeting, and it didn't end in a comfortable way. However, we had a motion, and it was approved to let the geniuses do their work. So please fill in anything my summary didn't.
Or any updates since that meeting.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think the follow-up conversations have been, I think this board has been empowering in that you've given me the opportunity to look at, evaluate, see what the needs are, and work with the city and able to do that. I would say, we would be wise to look at the recommendations by the design and architects and listen to what they say, listen to the recommendations that they've given. And I think in my work with the city, that's what I'm going to be encouraging. I think David Gill also agrees with that. And so I think we're going to continue to do that work moving forward and just try to keep moving this thing, because it is becoming more urgent by the day, and the closer that we get to it. I think what came out in that meeting, I think the city councilmen that are a part of this committee want to do what's in the best interest for Concord long term, which nobody can disagree with that. We have to balance our school district's needs with the reality of the immediate needs and the immediate concerns and our ability for our student athletes to safely compete and take the field. And so I think those are that's kind of what we're pushing up against right now. And we'll continue to work, come together, meet, find a price tag that meets everybody's needs in the city, and that gets our student athletes back on the field.
When do you have your meeting scheduled for?
So right now, the city is in their budget.
Yep.
So they're in full swing with that. I don't believe there is a scheduled meeting for the committee to meet next.
But you and Mr. Gill, aren't you supposed to be meeting?
Yes. So I'm in conversation with him regularly. He's in budget mode this week. We're going to come back together next week and meet. He was charged by the committee with going back to the architects, VHB and Huntress, to get answers. So once he has those answers, then we'll figure out a time to meet.
At the city, one of the city's budget meetings, a city councilor threw out the suggestion of that Terrell Park is planned and permitted and would be ready to go, although it is not in the city's plan, and that there would be one field that would be available. Have you had any conversations?
That hasn't come up since maybe I would say since I started in the job, as a possible kind of bridge to the project. I mean, it's something that could be on the table if we're able to do that faster. I don't want us to take our eye off the major prize and what is going to be I think the needs are the track, the bleachers, the press box, the lights. And I think if we stay focused on those needs, in the interim, we have to look off-site for potential places for us to play in the meantime. But I think I don't want to get too off course.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Minot?
I just wanted to add to the conclusion of the meeting. The motion that was made was to come back with a proposal for at least phase one, which may be the only phase with a budget of $12 million that wasn't specified. Some of the original master plan options, I think, were up to $32 million. So we're talking about less than half to address the most immediate urgent needs. I believe you were also going to meet with the contractor to look at the track to get a quote for some immediate temporary repairs. I have a concern that if the city doesn't move forward very soon, we are going to lose many track seasons without a usable track. And so I at least want to know and have on the table a number of what it would cost to fix the track so that it's usable.
And safe, yes.
And safe.
Finance, Ms. Campbell and Mr. Dunn.
Mr. Dunn, over to you.
Yep. So just starting on page 65, this is as of the morning of May 27th. The only thing that, oops, sorry. Oh, I don't have that big name. In this report, which we started, I think, last month, we added a column that says UFB, which is the unassigned fund balance. So this is just where where it's calculating or where we have a projection of where we think the end of the year will wind up. So we're in the process of going through final purchase orders, closing out the fiscal year. Tomorrow, we are having a discussion about busing. So if you look on page 68 and object number 6519,000, where it says student transportation purchased from other services, you can see that we have encumbered for the rest of the year 552,000, which would put us over by about 293,000. We're going through to see if there is anything that could be released from that, or if that is going to be committed and be over. As a reminder, last year that line was 1.8 million over budget last year. So with the board's action we took and put some non-CDL and changed up some things with transportation, we hope to try to make that even better, but it is hard. And then if you go down a couple lines to 656400, that is tuition to private or other schools. So right now that is a little over. If you take the encumbrances, you see that's about $10,000, $12,000 difference between what it's negative. So if in fact we are going to spend that, then that would be negative again if that's for out-of-district placements.
I'm looking at a $500,000.
Yeah.
600,000. Oh.
656400.
Yep. Shows 596,000.
So it's that 584 is encumbered, so that's making your year-to-date balance to be negative. If that 584 became zero, then that 596 would be 12,000 to the negative.
Do we expect that 584 to become zero?
No, I don't think it's going to be zero. The question is, are we going to spend the whole 584?
And do we?
That we don't know.
We don't.
No,
Wait.
we're going through each of them because remember they can go all the way up. They go all the way up to June 30th.
Right.
So they go past the end of the year. So every day is dollars that'll get counted against that. So I think other than that, we're just trying to make sure that we have all the revenue in, make sure we have all the state revenue in. when we look at, on the supplies, on the electricity, I think we had said we said that was likely gonna be over. This was the first year that all the buildings with the new HVAC systems were up and running. You do have, if we have to touch upon that, an energy risk reserve. We're taking out a little bit of money in this budget to help mitigate that, and next year's budget does account for this. And then the new contract is a little bit lower, the new energy contract, but the buildings are utilizing more than before because they have newer systems. You have dehumidified air now, so that line will be over.
I have a quick, this is maybe a little bit of
Yeah.
a capital facilities question as well, but in terms of like learning from our systems, are we anticipating being more efficient in the next year, right? We've got these new HVAC, these new dehumidified air systems. I'm sure everybody's just, like, if I had control of the thermostat, just cranking it.
Oh, I know.
But are we looking at ways to create more efficient use next year?
We are. I think we set out with a common temperature of about 72, 74 degrees that we want to keep our buildings at year-round. It's a part of an ASHRAE standard. I think we can do some adjustments to that because that 2-degree differential can make a difference on your operating costs, and it would be pretty tough to determine 2 degrees, especially coming from the buildings and the warmth we had, during the summer seasons when we were not conditioning the air. So it was a long answer to say yes, we are.
Okay, great, thank
Yep.
I know there's other topics that I have to cover, but is there anything specific at the moment? Okay.
It seems like the 1.7 in carry forward reserve, sorry, I'm not using the right word.
Yep.
Are mostly the funds that were budgeted from the special education reserve and the health and dental reserve that are not being fully transferred. I'm just curious, is that gonna happen? How is that decision gonna be made?
Yep. So you look at, the other fund is the transfer from the building and renovation maintenance fund.
Yeah.
So normally you budget about 350,000. The board added another 450,000 to do additional projects. And then there was an additional 138 taken from the reserve to replace a switch at the high school that was no longer manufactured, and that if it failed, the building would not be able to come back online for a large portion of the building because it's not a switch you run down to Home Depot or Lowe's, pick it up, throw it in. So that is what that's coming out of. Obviously, we hold till the very end to see where all the accounts are. Once we hit the 1.7, if we don't have to touch those reserves, we won't.
Right.
I'm not optimistic we're not gonna have to touch
Right,
that.
right
But
now,
that is why
essentially,
I'm
it looks-
holding back.
But that is for, usually at our October meeting when we make final adjustments in the budget, that is when we will vote on taking specific amounts out of reserves for the previous.
So that,
Even though they were budgeted and already approved to
so
be taken out?
that's
we're
for
still
your,
gonna hold?
that's for your 27
Seven
budget you'll
budget.
touch.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah,
we
that
will
budget.
finalize in July.
Yep.
And just say, okay, we need the 1.7. If it's greater than that, then we come to you and we can encumber anything over the 1.7. Ideally, what we're trying to do is still keep the reserve strong, keep your year-end balance strong, because remember, when you have to borrow the next part of the middle school, this fiscal year is what's going to dictate that bond result and that bond rating, and we want to keep that strong.
Understood.
Okay?
Thank you.
Next item, right? I think, is that, is that Jenny? Sorry, that's the special education discussion?
Okay. So, in your, on your packet, there's some information regarding student services, where we, events that have happened since the approval of the budget back in March. I will always say that in student services, we are like an ebb and flow. On any given week, it could be some really good news that costs are reduced, and I can turn around the next week and we've had some other things happen. So what I tried to do was give you some 30,000-foot view of some expenses and some savings of closing out some purchase orders. So some of the expenses include maybe students moving back in, students that we've tried all year long to program for and really haven't been able to program for, so now we have to look for an out-of-district placement. We have some out-of-district placed students that will be graduating, so there's a cost savings there. We've been able to really look at each of our line items and reduce some costs now that we've hit June 1st and close out some POs. You know, for example, if we hired a nurse for 177 days and the nurse was out, or the student was out and the nurse didn't come in, there's some savings there. So that's another component of what you see. Questions you might have?
So I appreciate this, and I appreciate the closing out, but this is not what the board asked for in our budget deliberations. We asked for a plan for next fiscal year to look at some of how we operate, knowing that we can't control the student coming in that needs the $500,000 a year placement, but that, you know, among the things we discussed in the budget were, you know, contracting versus hiring, the number of LPNs versus shared services, shared busing, and we asked for a plan of potential reductions equivalent to 1% on the tax rate, and this isn't it. So I understand it may be an impossible task,
it's
and we
not.
may reject it, but that is what we asked for.
So part of this is guidelines to consideration of paraprofessional support. So it's
Yes.
talking about how we're streamlining the data gathering to ensure that we're not over-prescribing services, which I don't think we are, but also gathering data to see if we can reduce reliance on some services. This is something that's been in place. We're looking at the fidelity of the use of this. We're examining things such as that. We're looking at the cost of contracting BCBAs, RVTs, and other positions through contracted services versus hiring them in-house and what that would be. We posted positions based on our cost analysis to see if we can attract those positions back in-house. It'd be cheaper for us. We haven't had luck in the past. That's why we ended up with contracted services. So there are several different things we are trying on the personnel end to try and control costs. In addition to looking at our programming, we're going into year 2 of the OWLs as well as the Comets program. We're doing program evaluation of our preschool as well. Jenny can talk a little bit more of that. All these areas are areas of pressure points that create in-house programming to hopefully reduce, 1, reliance on out-of-district placements, but 2, offer the programming here with our staff, which would be more cost-effective. So I'm sorry.
Sure, no, one of the things that I recommended to Tim was to do a preschool assessment. Take a look at our entire preschool program and have an outside group come in and do an assessment for us. Are we using our preschool staffing, our service providers, our programming the most effective and efficient way? So that's one of the things that we're taking a look at cost. We continue to monitor our para deliberations and the use and need for an educational assistant, as Tim talked about. That's another way to look at cost. We have conversations around students that are in out-of-district placements. Can we relook at those and see if we can bring 1 or 2 students back with the appropriate programming? Concord High School is looking at a variety of programs to offer to keep students that transition time from 18 to 22 is a cost, obviously. And so we're looking at ways to program for those students. It might mean a half day at Concord High School and then a half day somewhere out in the community starting to work on those transitional skills.
I'm sorry, and the complex thing about this, Pam, is, again, as Jenny says, ebb and flows. Ebbs and flows at preschool, ebbs and flows at elementary, middle school, high school, in and out of the programs, different needs, whether it's paraprofessional, RBT, BCBA. The ebbs and flows are constant. So it is a moving target. It's not an impossible task, but we talked with Booth B Services to do a program evaluation of certain pressure areas that are not highlighted in our continuing improvement program plan that was a result of that deep dive into our special ed services, because we're seeing spikes that didn't exist at that time in 2023 when that was completed. And they're at the elementary level in some areas, huge spikes that are a bit of an anomaly that we're getting approached by prestigious research institutions to say, can we partner with you because this is an anomaly. So I share that with you because this isn't a cop-out on what we were asked to do. This is a complex plan. We're talking with people, but as we're talking with the experts like Booth B to come in and look at our related services, how it's prescribed per our IEP, and make sure we're not over providing services, to look at our programs and do program evaluations, they're also saying to us, well, that's a moving target. What is it you're looking from us? So we continue to talk with our staff at the buildings. We continue to look at our student demographics we're going to have at our schools and in our programs, and we continue this discussion with them to say that we're going to have a comprehensive plan right now or between now and July. I don't have that for you, but what I do have for you are actions that we're taking to look at our programming and make sure that we're looking at ways to do this more efficiently.
This memo that I left you with is just a sample of what's happened from the end of March to today. And so this is just an example of the ebb and flow that sort of happens within student services. One of the things I just talked to Aaron about today was typically we see our McKinney-Vento homeless population spike at the start of the year or start fairly high, further increase, and then dip back down. We have not dipped back down. We have held, it continues to grow, actually. And I said, I thought you guys told me this, we get a dip, and this year has been one of those years where that has not happened.
Ms. Higgins?
Yeah. Having been on the other side of this as a 20-year special educator, whenever a special ed staff in a district is tasked with meeting a budgetary, let's get a 1% decrease or this or that, you begin to walk a very fine line with only providing services that you have the staff will fulfill. So you're in an IEP meeting, and that child needs 16 hours a week of a service, but we don't have 16 hours a week because we have a budget ceiling. So we have to write in an IEP 10 hours a week, and what the student needs is 16 hours. This is just a very simple example, but it's utterly uncontrollable on the part of administrators and teachers because of the ebb and flow that you talk about. So while this isn't for sure a list of ways we can cut, I don't know that there is a list of ways that we can cut. I think looking at the major changes that are happening, we all know that we have to really analyze, are we overstaffed here? Are we understaffed there? Where can we share? Where can we not share? Is all needs to be ongoing. But some of the wording in the I just go back to don't write an IEP with more than 20 hours of service. Well, okay, I have a student that needs 30 hours of service, what do I do? So I'm just pointing that out as the other side of this from the teacher perspective.
Ms. Minot?
I don't think we're looking to reduce or restrict services. One of the things that stood out when we were looking at the budget was the difference between contracted services and in-house services. So for example, for nursing, especially for LNAs, so I've been checking what our positions that are advertised are, and I haven't seen one yet. That was one where there was a huge cost difference. Maybe I missed one, but there's a huge cost difference, and I understand that the needs are constantly changing, which makes it really challenging because once we hire someone, we've hired them. But if we're sure that we're gonna need one for the next school year, for the whole school year, or, you know, shared maybe between a few students, those are the types of things that I think we're trying to say, offering the same service in a more cost-efficient way. And I very much appreciate that it is a constantly changing, moving target.
But
I
when we went
believe
from-
we advertised.
I have, excuse me, I have pulled down positions that are cut for this year because the shortened of the year. I'm literally posting for next year.
Great.
Right now.
Sounds good.
So we also advertised for BCBA.
I did see that one.
Yeah.
But I agree, that was the point, like, our nursing services budget went up from $85,000 to over $500,000 in like 3 years.
Yep.
So what we were doing when we were only needed so much nursing services may not make sense, and that's what we asked to look at. And I want to say we really deeply appreciate the help that you have given us this year and coming out of retirement to help us out with this. But, the growth in that section of the budget is, we have to make sure we're doing things as efficiently as possible and not.
Well, and we'll go back.
But it's who we're paying to do the hours and things
Yeah.
like that. And I think Michelle Speckman, who's also leaving us, had some, interesting ideas that she brought up at the budget that we should be looking at as well with our new
Yes.
student services director.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn?
I think the next one was a timeline for this building. So we are working with our attorney on that, and I have sent him, based on the stuff he had given us, we compiled, I'm just gonna pull it up. Compiled a timeline where we would do similar to, kind of like I was just gonna read it if that's okay, it's only 3
Yeah.
items. We would set a date on where we would introduce the the ballot question. And then at that meeting, you would discuss it and then set a public hearing date. And we're thinking about 15 days after that meeting. So say, for example, you wanted to say next week on the 8th, you want to have a discussion about it. Then you would set your date for the public hearing, have your public hearing, and then say at your July meeting, you vote on whether to put that on the ballot. The key for us time-wise is to get it to the clerk before when we close for the filing period to run for office, and submit this
So
at the
we
same
need to
time.
have those hearings in August for that and the Broken Ground
You can have
property.
between now and
By
early
August,
September,
we
yeah.
have to have that.
So this way, it's done, you can be done with it, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I was doing my best to follow along, I promise. Do we need to, is there an action we can take tonight to set dates for what you were talking about?
I think the only question would be is if on the 8th at your special board meeting, do you want us to bring forward a resolution, or a ballot question on the 8th? That's the question.
I mean, in theory, yes,
Yes.
because we have to set a public hearing,
Yep.
which
Yep.
means the public will
Yep.
then have an opportunity to
Yep.
receive notice,
Yep.
to give testimony on the question.
But it's not just for the Dewey School, it's for the two, it's also, there's a second one for the Broken Ground.
We'd follow the same process for both of
So
those.
let's make sure
And I
we
have
do-
them both written
Okay.
already. So, yeah.
So yes,
All right.
please.
So we will do that.
So we'll set the date at our 8th meeting.
Yep.
For the hearing,
For
public
the
hearing.
public hearing.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think the last one we have on here is Eastman School. So Eastman, that went out, I think, on the 22nd of April, and it was finalized, ended on May 13th. You received one,
What went?
the RFP
RFP
for broker services.
For a broker.
Yep, so that went out, that was in the paper. We also hit 3 vendors, I believe, that had some relationship with the district or in the community. One had said that they weren't gonna have enough time, one we did not hear, and one we did get a proposal from. We had heard, based on the timing, it wasn't long enough, so what we're proposing to you tonight is that you only received one proposal, that you extend the RFP period.
Can you just
need
help me to remember, I'm so sorry. What's the RFP for?
So the RFP is for Eastman School.
Right, but
To-
is it,
Like a real estate agent,
why can't we
essentially.
just hire a real estate agent?
because they could potentially get a pretty good commission on this,
Yeah,
and then we
because
wanna
somebody
get
might say, I'll
competitive
take
bids.
this percentage, and somebody will say, I'll take a lower
But
percentage.
if nobody's responding to it, don't we have an obligation to just go out there at some point and try to get this back on the tax roll?
I think given the fact that some of the feedback we got, the timing of the year just wasn't a long enough timeline to get multiple responses, so we could potentially benefit extending the timeline to get more competitive bids and be able to consider that as a committee. But in the end, ultimately, Brenda, yes, we could, even after that, if it was the will of the board, we could look to go down a different direction.
I just don't wanna keep dragging this out.
No, but I
It's been
think
going
if we're
on.
hearing from people that they will bid if they had more time.
How much more time are we talking about?
We would do another 4 weeks. You're about to go into the summer, and then in that RFP, it talks about the committee that would vet them. We just felt that it wasn't right for the committee that you're gonna have, that advisory group, to just get one in front of them. That was the big issue we had, so we talked with our attorney and said,
Okay.
just extend it. So if you're good with that,
You don't
that's
need a
what we'll
vote
do.
for that, right?
I would ask that you do vote.
Vote to extend
Yeah,
it,
I
okay.
would ask that you do that.
I don't remember voting on the RFP.
We're not saying the person that voted is not out. We would extend, just send us a letter saying you want to still be considered, and, yeah, yeah, and we think you will. That's why we're suggesting it.
Do we have like an official committee formed that we're writing this into the RFP? Are we set with the?
We have
subcommittee?
applications, we haven't finalized appointments yet, but we will do that now that we're gonna have a deadline for the RFP. Didn't want people to be appointed to a committee and then sit around for 6 months and not meet.
So
And-
who will appoint the committee?
Me.
All by yourself?
It's the president's
I
role.
think that was based on the
That's my
board's
role, but I
motion.
have consulted with Ms. Hastings since it's her area of the city. Negotiations.
So as far as CEA, they are looking and going over elements of their contract with their constituents tomorrow, and we'll be voting on potential ratifying that contract. We have, so we're optimistic that we are moving into an agreement. And with regards to certified instructional tutors, or Concord instructional tutors, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So we have reached a tentative agreement with the tutors, and they have ratified, so that will be brought for you tonight for a vote for ratification.
It is not in our board book, however, and it was not in the public posting. So I don't think we will be voting on it tonight, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We should get it posted and get it to the board members,
Monday,
and then we
okay.
can add it to the 8th.
Okay.
Anything else from you, Ms. Karen? On negotiations?
Not on negotiations, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will now open for public comment. If you would like to speak, please sign in and introduce yourself with your name and where you live. And if you could try and keep your comments 3 minutes or less, that would be great. Is there anyone people are signed in? Laura Foote. If you could just speak into the microphone, that would be great. Thank you.
My name is Laura Foote. I live at 44 Noyes Street, Concord. I've lived there, bought my home in 2006, so actually this month will be 20 years. Raised my family there, and, you know, we chose Concord to move to from Manchester. And we saw that neighborhood immediately, beautiful neighborhood, beautiful trees, canopy, everything. So further down, again, raised my kids there. It's known to me as like the walking hub of Concord. Everybody loves to walk their dogs, strollers, families. It's really just lovely. So now that they're changing the bus route, you know, to come down our street and put in sidewalks and just really change the whole neighborhood, really. I'm one of the lucky that 13 homes that they want to put a sidewalk in front of my home, and also won't be able to park in front of my home any longer, from what I'm reading and understanding. Not a fan of that. So basically just here to do a testimonial that I don't like this plan that they're going to put all these buses down the street, where they can't figure out a plan to have the buses loop through the new middle school, which they did it with Abbott Downing, with the tear down of the old Conant School. So I'm not understanding why with the $155 million budget that it cannot be figured out. So other than that, just showing my disapproval for the whole Noyes Street project for paving and sidewalks and having all the buses come down through there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat DeAngelis?
On May 8th, I emailed the building committee a detailed explanation of the bus and parent traffic pattern different from the proposed one that could easily be envisioned by them while looking at the site plan map on the website. It's similar to how it's currently done now, but keeps parents and buses separate, keeps buses almost completely on school property rather than on neighborhood streets, and ensures the safety of walkers and bikers. This is accomplished with some minor detail changes. I have not had any response from anyone. Regarding the middle school itself, the design is beautiful, an architect's dream project, aesthetically pleasing, and it has every possible want that people could think of included in it. On the other hand, the upcoming tax bill for a $400,000 home is projected to increase by approximately $900 to $1,000 over the previous cycle. This includes city projects and the school board increases, which I believe includes the first bond amount. How much more increase will there be in the following cycle, or whichever cycle comes next that includes the second bond amount? Your insistence, all but one of you, with proceeding with the building at the current cost goes totally against what a young father with school-age kids commented on here in this room, and it's so true. Paraphrasing, he said that it's not the building that helps students learn and thrive, it's the people in the building. And yet we're going to have 36 fewer teachers because you had an awful budget to deal with. Figure out how to cut the school's costs significantly. Lots of millions of dollars, little things, big things, they all add up. Reassess the sizes of everything, every square foot. Some things need to be the size they are, but other areas not so much. There are 9 areas on the second floor plan that say open to below. Couldn't some of those empty spaces be used for rooms? A 450-seat auditorium is beyond the beyond. Eliminate the second floor part of it and use that space for other rooms that are now located in one of the wings that go out from the main building. Moving rooms to the lost space of the open to below areas and the upstairs auditorium will still require interior construction, but not outside walls, bricking, outside insulation, roofing, etc. Where those rooms were, the square footage will be deleted. Less square footage equals less money. Skip the fancy brickwork. Do we really need 3 athletic fields? A Starbucks? Really? Some furnishings from Runlet need to go in the dumpster, admittedly. But there are many things that are quite usable. Desks, chairs, tables, bookcases, lots of whiteboards, science equipment. Use them instead of buying all new. You've included all kinds of energy-saving things in the design. I assume that you trust Harvey Construction to ensure that these are installed properly to get the desired effect. Why then pay $14,000 for a plaque that says you did it? And also, per the architect, needs to be reassessed periodically at additional costs. Don't do LEED certification. Will it cost to make architectural changes? Yes. But if those changes save us many millions of dollars, then that cost would be small comparatively. This cost can be reduced. You have the ability to do it. Please do it now.
Thank you. I just want to clarify for the record, the Starbucks was an April Fool's joke. One of the teachers said to the current students, there's no Starbucks.
It is absolutely not a Starbucks.
There's no Starbucks going in.
I only said that because somebody in this meeting said that
It was a April Fool's joke.
It's not funny.
That is where the gym is, yes. Mila Paul?
Hi, my name's Mila. I live in on the college, one of the college streets. I also love to walk at the Bachelor Mills Trails area. Love it. But I just wanted to say that I fully oppose the current busing program, and I did read the state manual that does require separation of buses and cars, and I have yet to see any attempts made to use barricades and islands to solve the traffic problem. Is that something that the school board is willing to look at?
We don't, you can testify, this is not a Q&A session, I'm sorry.
That's what I would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary Little?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Rosemary Little, and I live at 27 Noyes Street, which is on the corner of Cypress Street and Noyes Street. And I'm here tonight because a lot of people in our neighborhood, including me, are very concerned about the proposed bus routes of the buses to and from the new school, and that it's changing completely to what it is right now. And we love our neighborhood. We love our school. We enjoy having the school close by, and we enjoy walking around the school. We enjoy seeing some of the sports that are going on at the school, and we like to hear the children as they're out in the playground playing. It's really a pleasure. So I'm a retired public school teacher from New Haven, Connecticut. So I do care a lot about kids. And I have concerns about safety issues. I didn't know that sidewalks were going to be built in some of the streets close to the school, I guess. But the rest of the street would have no sidewalk, Noyes Street and Cypress Street. And we do have kids that cut through our neighborhood to go to school. And some of them are riding bikes, some of them are walking. But we're a nice little place to cut through our neighborhood and get to school. And other kids walk down South Street to get to school. And they're crossing across Noyes Street, where the buses would be coming and going. So as you're bringing kids to school by bus, you're coming into Noyes Street off of South Street. And kids are walking down South Street and crossing that same street that the buses are turning into. And the same thing when school comes out. And if you've ever driven by South Street when Abbott Downing is coming out, there's tons of kids that are walking down the street and going across Noyes Street, down South Street, crossing over Noyes Street. So there's a lot of considerations about, kids, but there's also tons of people that walk dogs in our area, and they come from nearby areas, and they start early in the morning. They're there at 6 a.m. walking their dogs. And many people bike around our area a lot because it's a nice little quiet, area, but it also does have quite a lot of traffic cutting through because people don't want to go down South Street and have to face all the traffic lights going into town or going up Clinton Street, so they cut through. And that four-way crossing where I live on the crossing where Noyes Street and Cypress Street cross, and so the buses are going to be going down in the morning and then coming around and on Noyes Street in the afternoon. They're all going to have to stop at that four-way stop sign and deal with traffic coming in, potentially 4 different directions. So it just seems that if there are other ways that this could be done, that it would be so much more sensible. It would be safer. It would be safer for kids who are traveling to and from school, walking. It would be safer for everybody. We have, most people are walking in our street with or without dogs, but there aren't sidewalks, so they're on the street walking. So just basically, I think it's a safety concern, and I think seeing that people have come up with some different ideas, and very clever people who live in my neighborhood have made different plans and presented it, why would that not be, taken into consideration? Because we want to keep our neighborhood safe for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike Sylvester?
Silverstein, sorry.
Got it right the first time.
Hi, Mike Silverstein. I live on 108 South Street, corner of Noyes and South. And I too am concerned about safety. We've lived there 26 years, and we find that's a dangerous spot to get onto South Street. It's not easy. We do a lot of walking too. We do a lot of biking. We're outside all the time, and it's really quiet and nice. And we do see a lot of kids, and we feel it's going to change like the whole neighborhood, and we're kind of worried about that. My wife has seen an accident. I've seen a kid get hit by a bike going onto South Street or crossing in that area. She did write an email about it, and just to let you know, she said she hasn't heard anything back, so we haven't heard anything about it. I'd also like to know what's the thought process. Why can't we do something like an overpass? Keep the same system and have built some kind of overpass so there's no crossing in front of the buses. It seems like you have a pretty good safety record as it stands. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. It seems like I haven't heard of any accidents, and it's been like 35 years doing it like this. And it's my understanding it used to maybe go down Noyes Street. I'm not really sure. And they probably switched it for a reason. It's not the best way to do it. So I just would hope you would reconsider and think about safety, because it's going to change that whole area, and it's not going to be as safe. I don't think you're going to go 35 years without an accident going out of that onto South Street. It's tough. I don't usually go that way if I can help it. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? I don't want to testify. Can I just say something? Sure, let me just close the public. Go ahead.
I thank you all for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. And I want to make sure that you all understand that I'm speaking only for myself. I'm not speaking for anyone else on the board here. And I'm disappointed that we have so many concerned people, because we mentioned this when we talked about rebuilding at Runlet. We talked about how the bus routes would have to change, that we were concerned about being good neighbors, and the neighborhood changes. And I remember being told by the concerned citizens of Concord that we didn't need to worry about that, because most of those people have signs up in their yards that say rebuild at Runlet. They want this. And here we are now with exactly what we were concerned about, that we would be having to change things. A lot of it's not up to us. Their code changes now, and we no longer have options available once we start building that were available beforehand. It was a concern that we had as a board, the board that was making those decisions. One of the reasons we wanted to rebuild or to build over on the east side, because we wouldn't have had those restrictions, we wouldn't have had the same problems. And I feel terrible that so many people are going to have their neighborhoods disrupted. But we were very clear about that this was a potential problem, and we're told not to worry about it, and then the voters would vote for it, and they did. So we will do, I'm sure, I know these people on this board care, we'll do everything we can to cause the least amount of disruption and keep our students and our citizens safe. But a lot of it isn't within our control anymore. And I just wanted to say that from my perspective. That's all.
Thank you. I do want to say that, you know, we have gotten a lot of maps and people have had creative ideas, and we have passed, everyone that I have received, I have passed on to the traffic engineer, and I've also passed on, we are blessed that we have a citizen volunteer, a parent in the district, who supported rebuilding at Runlet, who happens to be a traffic engineer, and I've sent every one of those proposals to her as well to, you know, look at and think about. I will invite board members to the building committee meeting on Thursday. The traffic engineer will be there, and you can, if you have questions, please come and ask them there as well. I'm not a traffic engineer, so, you know, at this point, you know, it's really difficult when you have the city traffic department saying this is the best route, our independent, and then our volunteer. But, you know, I'm open to keeping, you know, to look while it's feasible. You know, we do have to finalize plans for the school. But if you have questions, concerns about the traffic plan, please come on Thursday and ask your questions so that you can get some answers before we meet again next week. Ms. Sadowski.
Thank you so much. My question is, I'm concerned that I may have missed an email. I would definitely have remembered an email about a child being struck on a bike.
Didn't hear one.
I wanted to check and see if any, okay, so I just want to make a note that I am concerned that I am not seeing all of the emails, and I would be curious to know if it was submitted through the portal, and if so, if someone could resubmit so that we can be sure that we see all feedback, because the feedback is really important to me. I'm reading every email, and I'm trying to take the time to respond to absolutely everyone. So thank you for everyone who's come out tonight. I did want to flag the comment about the Bachelor Mill Trail System and just note that that is at the Broken Ground property that we are considering selling. So if folks care about the potential sale of the property at Broken Ground, when would be the right time to come and make their voice heard?
When the public hearing
So
happens.
on the 8th
Is not the public
is
hearing.
Thursday. I just want to be clear for folks who are listening.
Yeah.
On the 8th, it will be the public hearing in which we will be discussing the possibility of having a hearing on the...
The 8th, we will be having a meeting.
Special board meeting.
A special board meeting.
And the subject of the special board meeting is?
Middle school value engineering,
Mm-hmm.
the middle school traffic study,
And
probably the teacher and tutors contracts now, and setting a date for a public hearing on the two resolutions for selling this building and the Broken Ground land. So we will be setting a date for that.
So if folks are interested in the fact that there will be a date set for the vote on the potential sale of the Broken Ground property, they should know that that is happening on Thursday.
No, Monday.
Monday.
The 8th.
The 8th. Thank you. This is why I say it aloud.
All right, thank you.
So,
Miss,
may I ask a question?
yes.
Did you say that for the building committee meeting, were you talking to the board?
I was
about
talking to the
questions?
board, yes.
So the public is not involved?
The public is welcome to come and attend and to give feedback, and I have a list of questions that I have gotten from people that I will be asking at the meeting, but it is not a public informational session. It's a committee meeting. Ms. Higgins, did you have your hand up?
When we first started talking about a new middle school, it was way back in 2017, and we went through all sorts of pieces of property and ideas and things like that. And at no time was there a specific bus route that was Cypress Street, Noy Street, the current one that's there. Yes, we talked about, in very general terms, potential changes to the neighborhood. I just think it's not fair to discourage people from speaking when they didn't have this specific information 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I know this has been contentious among the board members, but it's your job to come speak, even if we don't like it. So don't ever feel bad that you're saying something that might upset a board member or frustrate somebody. That's our job. That's where we get paid the big
I'm frustrated
bucks.
at you because that is not my intention with my comments tonight. It was to share that I feel bad that they are disappointed. but that there was a reason why, that we knew this was a potential problem. And
Okay, then I
never-
thought you were disappointed. That's how I heard that, so I
Okay,
apologize.
look, and this is,
Then talk to me personally.
Well, I just wanted them to know that. they're not
but,
disappointed.
yes, all right, let's move on to votes, please. We're gonna start with personnel, fall coaches.
Good evening. We are bringing forward a nomination for a replacement for the high school football coach. Should be Michael Leonard will be replacing James Corkum.
I will take a motion to approve Michael Leonard as the high school football coach.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Meeker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Minot, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. New teacher nomination.
We are bringing forward Kylene Chalakis to replace Megan Birch for an English teacher at the high school.
Do I have a motion to accept this recommendation? Moved by Ms. Boucher, is there?
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Sadowski. All those in, discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. New administrator nomination, the new,
So we have Deborah McGinty. Deborah joins us with a wealth of experience in special education. She has worked in several large New Hampshire districts, including Manchester and Nashua, where she fulfilled responsibilities of LEA and special ed coordinating responsibilities. With more than 20 years of experience in a variety of special education roles, she brings deep expertise, strong commitment to supporting students and staff, and she will be filling in the void left by Brittany Mahaney, who is leaving us to become a principal down in Salem, New Hampshire.
and she has all the appropriate certifications.
She has all the appropriate certifications.
Is there a motion to approve Deborah McGinty?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hastings. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We have a leave of absence request. Are people ready to vote on this, or should we save it until after non-public? Okay. All right, then, can I have a motion to approve the leave of absence request?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Campbell. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The tutors contract, we are going to wait on until next Monday, and it will be distributed. Summer hiring, usually at this meeting, we make a motion to allow hiring for the summer and that sort of post-dated approval so that the hiring can keep moving. Do you have
They
the
would come-
language we've used in the past?
They would come forward as a confirmation, not a nomination, so you're giving the superintendent permission to hire during the summer.
Okay, so I will move that we give the superintendent permission to hire during the summer and bring those to us for confirmation. Seconded by Ms. Higgins. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I take a motion to approve the 306 counseling requirements.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Higgins. Is there seconded by Mr. DuBois? Discussion.
We're just approving, we still have to soon approve the plan of action.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
approving the
What they've done
standards.
so far.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We've already approved Ms. McGinty. Mr. Dunn had asked for us to vote to extend for another 4 weeks the RFP for broker services. My question is, we don't normally vote on RFPs or putting out RFP. We vote on results over a certain amount, so it seems weird to sort of take that authority from the administration to extend.
How was it worded in the RFP?
Well, the RFP is worded in that the committee would make a recommendation based on the results it
Oh,
got.
so because of the
because
way
they
the
didn't,
RFP
I
is?
prefer that we at least
Okay.
came to you, especially because there was one bidder.
Okay.
And that we made you aware and that you said, you instructed us, we
I see why
we
you
accept
want
your
it.
proposal. We didn't just
So
Hold
I
on.
will, do you have a end date in mind for the RFP?
Yeah, so let's see, on the 1st. Yeah, let's do Monday, July 6th. That gives us a
I
little
will move
pass.
that
Good.
we authorize the administration to, notwithstanding the wording of the current RFP, to extend the RFP for broker services for sale of the Eastman School for another, till July 6th.
Second.
Second by Ms. Meeker. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Thank you.
carries. Proposed calendar of meetings. We have building committee. Oh, did I skip enrollment? I'm sorry. Enrollment, anything to add?
I think we know enrollment at this point.
Yeah. We have building committee on Thursday, special board meeting at 6 next Monday, communication and policy at 5:30 on the 10th, graduation, high school graduation, which will be at NHTI this year, on the 13th at 10 or 1, unless it's raining, and then it's really hard, then it's 10 at the high school.
Plan for everything.
Please pick up your robes.
Where are they?
They're not.
They're at the high school.
They're at
The high school, Mrs. Lamb would have them.
Yeah. Executive committee at the 15th at 5, finance at 5:30, 8th grade moving up ceremony at the 17th, last day of school at on the 18th. And it seems like we have 2 empty weeks, but I'm sure they will do something about that. Board of Education in July, our meeting is on the 6th. Communication and policy is on the 15th at 5:30. Executive committee at 5 p.m. on the 20th. Board of Education retreat at 5:30 p.m. And that is just sort of a half-year check-in on our goals and what we set as priorities at the retreat in January. So it hopefully will not be a super long meeting. We also will still need to schedule the evaluation for the superintendent, and also public hearing on things. And Mr. Dunn has something else he wants to add.
I was wondering if I could move the finance committee meeting, because I need to be in Philadelphia the morning of the 16th. So I will do that meeting if I have to.
Yeah, no.
And head down, but,
Is the 22nd work for you, Ms. Campbell?
Yeah.
and we'll send that agenda ahead of time.
Does 22nd
Yeah,
work?
that's fine.
Okay.
What about the subcommittee?
I also wasn't able to attend on the 15th. I had notified you, so the 22nd works better.
Everybody else?
Great.
Oh, I'm on it. Yeah, I guess I can make that work.
Thank you.
All right.
Can we move executive too, so that we don't have to?
Sure. Why don't we move executive too? We'll give everybody the night of the 15th off. Unless that's a problem from superintendent. Okay.
Brenda, do we need to have an instructional committee meeting? We often have one in June, and I worry, is there
We do
anything?
need to have one,
Okay.
either June or July, I'm just not sure, but we have some changes happening, so.
How about June 24th?
June 24th would be great, we have a lot to discuss.
Okay. Instructional.
Those track camps will smell really bad.
Kim, I'll get in touch with you and we can plan something.
We do need a non-public this evening, which we'll try and keep brief. Before we move for non-public, I know she's not leaving us yet, but this is probably her last full board meeting, official board meeting, so I want to thank Assistant Superintendent Yorlat for her service over the years to the district. And then I'm going to move that we go into non-public under 91A, Section 2, strategy or negotiations with respect to collective bargaining. Section I, contracted services, circulation of draft documents. And A3, Section 2K, consideration of tuition agreements. Anything else that we need? I'm going to throw in personnel because it's something always comes up. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Meeker. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Shea, will you call the roll? Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Du Bois?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings?
Yes.
Ms. Higgins?
Yes.
Ms. Meeker?
Yep.
Ms. Minot?
Yes.
Ms.
Ms. Sadowski?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Great. For Concord television purposes, we will not be coming back into public session except to adjourn. So we're going to let Concord TV go home. Thank you very much.